Alan, good morning. Jeff in Las Vegas.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for joining me today, man. You are a busy man, aren't you?
I am. I love the background. That's very cool. Thanks
Well,
for that.
thank you. Thank you very much. Well, you have two new books. Both couldn't be different than from each other. One is an original, one is a retelling, reimagining. When it comes to war games, I'm a huge World War II buff, so I'm very excited. I'm only the first couple chapters into your book. So tell me about your goal to meet, to educate the young readers about World War II and through our 13-year-old protagonist.
Sure. So, War Games is the story of 13-year-old Evie Harris. She's American girl who goes to the 1936 Berlin Olympics to compete on the American gymnastics team, and she is looking for this as an opportunity to win gold and maybe pull her family up out of poverty if she can become famous and get some publicity out of this. And she goes to Berlin really not wanting to worry about the politics of everything. She is just going to compete. She knows that there were boycott efforts back in the United States because of Nazi Germany, the new rulers in Germany. And when she goes into the big Olympia Stadium at the beginning, she sees Hitler up in the stands, and she knows there were those boycott efforts, and she knows a lot of people don't like him. She doesn't know exactly why, though, because this is 1936. It's 3 years before World War II is going to break out. So not everybody really knew what was going on in Germany with the Nazis. And so, but the longer she stays there, the more she begins to see the darkness in Berlin, what's happening behind the scenes. And she's like, dang it, I just came here to compete. I didn't want to get into all the politics of it. But the more she sees, the more she realizes she can't sit by while the Nazis are doing all these bad things. And so she joins up with a group of international athletes who are planning to rob the German National Bank to stick it to the Nazis. So I combine a heist story with a sports story and have a lot of fun there. But what am I trying to do with stories like this for young readers? I want to show what was happening in World War II, and I want them to understand the context of it. So for me, the Berlin Olympics was a terrific way to show that. This is, of course, the Olympics where Jesse Owens wins 4 gold medals. It's the Olympics where the boys in the boat are the underdog winners of a gold medal in rowing from the University of Washington. It's the first Olympics with a torch relay. It's the first Olympics to be televised. It's got the Hindenburg flying overhead, giving aerial shots of the Olympics. It's kind of the first modern Olympics, the way we think of modern Olympics. And yet it was a great way of sports washing for the Nazis to try and say, look, we're not as bad as everybody thinks. Look at our bright, shining Germany, and nothing bad is happening here, nothing to see here. But she sees it. And I want kids to know that when they see things that are wrong, that they have the power to do something about it and to be watchful for that.
I, I mean, it sounds like you're a big history buff, just like myself. I mean,
I am.
that's a little mini course right there. And then now on the flip side for Refugee, I mean, this is a reimagined as a graphic novel. Do you feel the timing was right for this? And what do you want young readers to take away from it?
Yeah, so unfortunately the timing is always right for a refugee story. We have the UN says we have more refugees in the world right now than at any other time in history, which is wild when you think about it, because during World War II, to get back to history, the world was at war and people were driven from their homes all over the world by war. And yet today we have more refugees without a world war than we did back then. So unfortunately, the time is always right to talk about refugee crises in the world. And what I tried to do with the original book, so the original Refugee came out in 2017, and it's a prose novel, and it is the story of 3 different kids in 3 different parts of the world in 3 different time periods who were all driven from their homes by violence and have to find some new place to live. And what I tried to do with that book back then was to say, look, we keep making the same mistakes. Like every generation we have a new refugee crisis, and we keep making the same mistakes. And if we don't fix what we're doing, then tomorrow is going to be the same as yesterday. And I wrote that book to try and get that message across. But the other reason I wrote that book and all of my historical fiction really is I want to give faces and names to historical events and to statistics. You know, when we study history in school, it's often dates and it's statistics about this many people or that happened, and I'm trying to give faces and names to those times. So, like, this is Joseph, this is Isabel, this is Mahmoud. These are their lives, these are their families, this is what's happening to them individually. And so I take what happens in history and I try to distill it down to individual characters. Everything, the three characters in Refugee are all fictional, but every single thing that happens to them happened to a real refugee in one of these time periods on one of these journeys. And so I use all this real life stuff and then drop my fictional characters into it and have them experience these real life events. And like I said, part of my mission is to give these characters names and faces. And what better way to give them faces than a graphic novel where you can literally see their faces, right? So it took us a while to find the right artist, but we finally did. His name is Sid Feeney. He's Iranian American. He lives in Brooklyn. He did an amazing job on this book. The characters come to life in a way, like every time I got the pages on my computer, like his new sketches, I was blown away all over again. And I think kids who haven't read Refugee are going to love it. I think kids who have read the original Refugee book are going to love seeing these characters come to life. But I hope that it brings that story to a whole new readership.
And with you, I think we penned what, 20 books, so you're just so prolific and busy. Are you going to be hitting the road soon for a book tour? Are you going to meet your fans?
Yeah, like after I speak to you today, I'm off to the airport and I'm going on an 11-city tour to meet fans and to talk to people. If anybody wants to know where I'm going to be, they can check out my website. It's alangratz.com, and I have an event list there. But I'm going to be I'm going to be starting on the East Coast and hitting different cities, working my way back to the West Coast where I now live.
Well, to tell you the truth, I'm not in Vegas right now. I'm actually in LA on assignment. I've been
There you go.
watching the news all morning. So Dodgers back to back for the World Series. What's your opinion?
Listen, I'm a Dodgers fan. Even though I grew up on the East Coast, I would watch the Dodger games like at 10 o'clock because they would come on late on the East Coast, and that was my time to watch. And I would watch Vin Scully doing all the announcing for those games and fell in love with watching the Dodgers. So I'm a Dodgers fan. I got to say, I'm rooting for them to finish a second year in a row.
Well, it looks like they're going to do it. So, well, Alan, congratulations on all your success. Thank you for your time, and let's talk again soon. Thank you so much.
It was great to see you. Thanks so much.